So Venus is meeting up with Pluto in Aquarius at the moment. And I'd say that this message is pretty clear. It's time that we redefine our values, our relationships, and our connection to freedom. In fact, I'd actually ask you the question, what is the future that you're ready to step into? I'd say that this conjunction actually holds a lot of the answers that we seek. So what I'll do in this video is I'll help you understand more deeply this conjunction. I'll show you exactly how this conjunction is transforming our self-worth, our relationships, and I'll help you navigate the challenges that generally tends to come along with a conjunction like this. This is an opportunity to harness a transformational energy that changes our relationship landscape forever. So let's get into it. Okay, so I would say that this conjunction is pretty special. Not only because it's what I consider to be a phase 2 of a Venus-Pluto conjunction that already happened at the beginning of this year. And the question that it's really asking us, like at the core of it, is what emotional patterns are we ready to let go of within ourselves? And where are we ready to transform and empower ourselves? Like that's the core of this message. The Venus archetype is an energy that is about our values, it's about our inner relationship to ourselves, and it's the way that we form relationships externally. Pluto as an archetype wants to transform by exposing the things that have become outdated within our lives, right? Things that are no longer alive for us, and wants to challenge that. And the Aquarius archetype actually wants to break you out of any pre-existing conditioning patterns that are outdated or no longer serve you. So you can see how these three archetypes, when you put them together, speaks to this underlying message of deep transformation regarding your inner relationship to yourself and how that changes your outside world. And what is the most empowered version of yourself? And I would say the question I would throw at you and myself as well is, are we ready to actually step in to that empowered version? So what I'm going to do is I'll break down this conjunction for us and show you how there are actually some external players that are contributing to this energy pattern at the moment that I think are important for us to consider. All right, so this Venus-Pluto conjunction, it's not just about sort of liberation and change for the sake of it, right? This is a pretty cool experience in my eyes. And the reason why I say that is because earlier I mentioned that Venus and Pluto actually made a conjunction in Aquarius. And this was actually way back in February of this year. So that's 2 Pluto-Venus conjunctions in 1 year, right? When we came up to that conjunction in February, the message was very clear. It was like, we're ready to begin deconditioning ourselves and breaking away from value systems and relationships that are no longer working for us, right? But we were at a point where we didn't know what that was. We had to go through a set of processes to discover that, right? So that's what the original conjunction was about. Interestingly, Mars actually conjuncted Pluto at the same time that Venus was, and Mars and Venus conjuncted in Aquarius in February as well. So it wasn't just this sort of Venus-Pluto conjunction and it's just changing things up or wanting to empower ourselves. It was actually like a whole entire stellium of planetary systems that were activated at that time that set the tone for what we've been dealing with throughout this year. And so what I thought was actually cool as well is that the North Node and Chiron was connected. And that spoke to me deeply because it pointed to that, again, this transformation that we're going through is not just a sort of like, as I said, something that's just, standard. Okay, I'm about to decondition myself. It was actually an incredibly healing, or it was about prompting healing within us. And the keywords all associated with it is emotional maturity through awakening agency. It was being able to become more emotionally embodied within your life and starting to live in alignment that felt true and authentic to you. So we're coming back now to Venus-Pluto conjunction again. And all of it that we've been working on since February is now present with us. And we're ready to take action on what we've been working on. We've already had Saturn go direct, right? So Saturn is ready to say, let's grow emotionally. And this conjunction is saying, let's take all of the work that we've been doing in for the last couple of months since February, and let's take action on it. So this is about stepping into a version of yourself that grows beyond your comfort zone, that grows beyond the definitions and the parts of you that feel outdated. Okay? Now, what's supporting this whole entire conjunction as well is Venus's trine to the South Node in Libra. And that connection between the South Node in Libra and Venus is saying, here's where there are pre-existing relationship attachments and situations that you're ready to grow beyond, right? That's literally what it's saying. It's like, here are old dynamics, and you are here with a new set of principles, a new set of values, a new set of interests and paths of moving forward. And you're looking back at yourself in the past and you're saying, this is where I'm growing from. It's like you can see where you're growing from, right? From the past, breaking away from these patterns. So that's a pretty cool aspect between Venus and the South Node. Along with this Venus conjunct Pluto, we've also got Mars retrograde. I've talked about this in another video as well, but Mars retrograde is in opposition to this Venus. And again, I said that Venus and Mars made a conjunction in Aquarius at the beginning of this year. So we're also looking at how Mars is bringing deeper connection to our inward relationship to ourselves by showing us where there is a misalignment in our reality. In fact, you'll actually see Mars bring up conflict within your environment to show you exactly where you are out of alignment, as in the parts of you that feel outdated and need to move on, and where you feel that you want to put energy moving forward. I only encourage you to go watch that video if you haven't, the Mars retrograde, because it helps you understand how Mars is helping us grow and strengthen and develop emotional security so that we can step into these new spaces of emotional empowerment. What's also cool about this whole entire connection with Mars, or with Venus-Pluto, is that Venus is also making a sextile to the North Node in Aries. So what I love about this is that sextile to the North Node in Aries is pointing and saying, hey, when we make new choices under old circumstances, not only are we stepping into new versions of ourselves that can feel scary, and I'll help you understand how to navigate that, but when we make these new choices, we're literally breaking free from the past, and we're also reshaping and redefining our relationship patterns within ourselves and to the world. We're literally liberating and moving beyond. We're breaking free. So if you look at this whole entire planetary system together, with Venus in opposition to Mars retrograde, Venus trining the South Node, and Venus making the sextile to the North Node, we're breaking free from the past by challenging our pre-existing internal limitations. And as we make new choices under old circumstances, we are moving beyond and liberating ourselves, and therefore creating or moving into a newer version or a more empowered state of being for us. So of course, there's going to be some emotional challenges that will come along with this type of transit. Naturally speaking, we're stepping into a completely new version of ourselves, a version that feels completely foreign to, say, the one that we've always been attached to. And that's going to bring us into feelings of uncertainty or a fear of, can I get this right? Any doubt, some trepidation, hesitation. This is natural. It's simply because we're becoming more conscious of a new version of reality that is healthy and more empowered. But it also means that we haven't emotionally anchored ourselves into that reality yet. So there's a natural kind of developmental stress or tension towards becoming more conscious of a version of yourself that feels empowered and more authentic. All you need to do is just continue to keep one foot in front of the other, making choices every day that helps you align with that part of yourself. And pay attention to any emotions that might be showing up that are telling you where you're being held back by a fear. You might have a fear of failure, as an example. You're wanting to do something and the fear of failure is sort of holding you back. That's an invitation to inquire into that fear more deeply, and you might find something actually pretty interesting and learn something deep about yourself if you explore that. these transits, even though the tension is there, okay, the tension is really there to create the space for new beginnings to exist, to emerge. And so if you're ready to allow yourself to let the tension almost evolve you, you're on the right track with this. Think of it like this. It's like these transits are pushing you to create more space for a more fuller, embodied, empowered version of yourself to show up. And so if you allow these transits to create that space through showing you where you might have some emotions that are holding you back, you're actually one step ahead of the fear that's holding you back. And it's giving you that power to come into a more stronger version of yourself. And I mean, that's literally what Aquarius is. It's the archetype that wants to completely break apart and decentralize the parts of you that have become outdated. And it wants to bring you into a stronger and more emotionally healthy version of yourself. It wants to grow you beyond your definitions. But that does require having to challenge some of your comfort zones, as it were. This Mars-Pluto or this Venus-Pluto, will bring it to the surface. Mars, of course, has got a role to play in this, and I'll talk about it later. So what is the future that you want to create for yourself is the question. So thinking about some more questions that help you connect with your Pluto-Venus conjunction, I would say, what relationship patterns are you ready to begin letting go of, right? What is no longer serving you? What does emotional freedom look like in relationship? And how do you align with relationships and values that actually support your authenticity? Coming into these types of questions, I feel, can help you get more connected on an emotional level to what the potential of this Venus-Pluto conjunction is about. And I would also encourage you to do some journaling or some writing that really helps you channel your inner thoughts, like your inner dialogue. Venus is very much that inner dialogue process that helps you kind of bring out what you might be feeling on a more, say, subconscious level. In fact, I'd love to hear what you actually answer to these questions. Let me know in the comment section, guys. Now, this Venus-Pluto conjunction is the initiation of a reordering of our relationship dynamics, okay? It's a change for the better. It's an empowerment, it's a breaking away, and it's a breaking free, and it's becoming more authentically aligned with who you really are, with the emphasis on literally growing beyond your comfort zone. And the interesting thing about this, and I mentioned this earlier, is that Mars is also playing an important role in this process. This Mars retrograde is not hiding silent. In fact, Mars and Venus are in an opposition to each other. And remember I said to you that Venus and Mars made a conjunction in Aquarius in February as well. So I'm actually going to create a video as well talking about how to understand those two planetary alignments and how that's affecting the way that we're changing our inner relationship to ourselves, and also how it's empowering us, how it's helping us empower ourselves. So that's what I'm also going to be doing. So make sure that you check out that video when it comes out. But for me today, this is a time for a radical realignment of yourself. And this is the prompt to bring you into a deeper state of emotional connection and authenticity, okay? So let me know what you guys think in the comment section regarding the questions I proposed. You know, what are your thoughts? What are you changing within yourself? And I've also left the Mars retrograde video on the screen right now, so you can go check that out. And until the next video, take care, guys. Bye-bye.